Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I'm very excited to have OB-GYN Tania Bodnar here. Bodnar. Sorry about that. Here with us today, we're talking something very relevant to me, and I love to talk about breastfeeding, feeding your child. I have an 8-month-old at home, and seriously, is my favorite thing to talk about. So I'm very excited to be talking mommy-child stuff today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. You know, we are from the East Coast, and my husband and I chose to come out to Park City, and we're really excited to be part of this community. We've really been welcomed in all aspects, and especially in the work environment. So I'm happy to be an OB-GYN here at Park City Hospital, at Park City Specialty Clinic. We have great nursing staff, both in the clinic and also in labor and delivery, where a lot of breastfeeding occurs and a lot of the initial sort of talking and teaching and figuring out what you're doing happens. Also, I work with 3 other amazing OB-GYNs, and together we're really working hard to create a safe environment and to really get excellence for women's health. So this transition to Park City Hospital has been really wonderful for me, coming from the East Coast. And you know, I'm so lucky to be an obstetrician and gynecologist so that I can be part of a woman's life sort of throughout their milestones.
Oh, totally.
And giving birth, having a baby is one of those super important, emotional, and just really wonderful experiences, both for women, families, and for us as obstetricians. So, you know, breastfeeding is also a topic that I'm super passionate about. And all moms want to do what's best for their children, and they're always looking online and reading blogs and trying to figure out sort of what the best options are.
Done that.
So, you know, just a couple of pointers if you do choose, or if new moms or moms to be, even if it's your second child, choose and are wondering about the benefits of breastfeeding. You know, I just wanted to talk about a couple of benefits and a couple of things to think about when you're trying to make that decision.
Well, let's go over some of it. I mean, I kind of want to talk about formula too, because as we know, fed is best.
Absolutely.
If breastfeeding, if you don't produce enough, I will say, like, my breastfeeding journey is stressful. My supply goes up and down. I'm thinking, is my kid hungry? Is he going to be fine? So I'm considering supplementing with formula, you know, probably for the next 4 months. And so, like you said, there's a lot of benefits, but you just kind of have to do what you have to do.
We totally agree. I totally agree. And collectively, the nursing staff and the other OB-GYNs and the pediatricians are really here to support women in whatever they choose to do. And it's really an individual decision.
Totally.
So, you know, a couple of things to remember. It's a great bonding experience. It's great for both mom and for baby. Spend, you know, a couple of minutes, and sometimes it's more than a couple of minutes.
I remember Tucker ate for 45 minutes in the very beginning. Like, people say, watch a TV show, watch an entire episode while you're breastfeeding.
And in the beginning, it can be a little bit daunting and overwhelming, and you can feel like you're sitting there all the time. And that's okay. Enjoy that time. Enjoy that special time and bond being together. And you'll figure it out, and you'll start being a little bit more efficient, and baby will be a little bit more efficient. And also, as your milk supply changes and the different milk contents and the nutrients evolve and change with the needs of the baby, it may be a much quicker feed than initially in the beginning.
Oh, totally. Well, you start with colostrum, which is a much thicker consistency than the breast milk I have now at 8 months in, and he probably had to work a lot harder.
They do have to work harder, but it's also less volume. So they really don't need that much in the beginning. They're just trying to figure it out. And even just the initial latching and suckling, that all of that is really beneficial for both, you know, mom and baby. So it's a great healthy option for both. It's great for moms, helping them lose their maternal weight after delivery. There's always a couple of extra pounds that we're striving to lose,
a lot of extra pounds.
And even years out. But in the beginning, that can really start helping you sort of move your metabolism and get you going. Also, pediatricians really recommend breastfeeding in the beginning if it's a possible option. This is great for growth. It's great for development, for digestion. You know, a couple of other sort of non-health benefits. It's a cheap alternative if you're able to do it. We all know that though formula is wonderful and it's come a long way in the last years, it is an expensive option, and having to buy formula, you know, week after week, or even, you know, more often throughout a whole year, those costs can add up.
Well, especially in the beginning when your baby is eating like 7 to 10 times. I mean, think about how much formula you are actually putting together. Luckily, it gets a little less and less, but still, I mean, I'm feeding Tucker 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm talking like 6 to 8 ounces. That's a lot of formula. If I did formula for everything, that would cost thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. That's definitely, you know, that can be a constraint. It could be a benefit. You can think of it that way. You're saving a little bit of extra money for other things.
Totally. What other benefits are there?
So other things to think about also, you know, it's great to have a period pause. The hormonal changes after breastfeeding and after having a baby can make you not ovulate, and therefore some women who exclusively breastfeed can go without having a period for up to 8 months. Other women, it can be up to 12 months or even more.
Totally.
You know, and another option can also be free contraception. So,
but be careful with this one. No guarantees.
Though it's not 100% perfect, and you really have to have an open dialogue with your physician or your caregiver or your provider. It can be an option if you are breastfeeding exclusively around the clock, including those middle of the night hours when we really wish we could just sort of stay in bed and go back to sleep. But by inhibiting ovulation, it could act as a form of contraception. And then when you talk to your provider, and if he or she chooses to sort of supplement or add an alternative option, that's also something to be sort of aware of.
Let's talk about supplementing just for a minute. I don't know how much you planned on talking about this, but like you said, formula has advanced a lot, and it's probably really similar to breast milk. You have a lot of like the prebiotics and probiotics added. So, I mean, it's kind of convenient. It's really convenient to give formula.
Absolutely. And I'm not here to sort of stress breastfeeding exclusively if it's not an option for you. And I really want to sort of make that known. You know, I think it's a little bit controversial topic, and even speaking with some girlfriends that said, look, I had twins. I didn't have the volume. I didn't have the supply, or I had a preemie and I had a hard time sort of getting my milk to come in. And I totally get that. And we all get that. And importantly, we're here to support you in whatever option you choose. It is easy to have a little bit of formula on standby, or to take it in your baby bag and give it if you need it, and that's definitely an option, and I don't want to dissuade people from doing that. I think there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of mommy guilt, there's a lot of feeling like you're not doing the right thing, and it's a really emotional, trying time for a woman. And
it is.
For first-time moms, they're really nervous about, am I doing all the right things for my baby? Am I taking care of them properly? And then now I can't produce enough milk. And so I really think that you need to congratulate yourself and give yourself a pat on the back if you choose to breastfeed. And if it's something that works for you, go with it. If you need a little extra help and you need to supplement, or if it just doesn't work at all, that's fine. As you said, fed is best, and a healthy mom also leads to healthy babies. So
it's true.
And emotionally healthy as well.
I was going to say that too, because even if you have the production, or if you produce enough, I know of moms who just, it's so stressful, it's so emotionally taxing on them to make sure that the feeding, you know, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes baby's not very good at it, and it just becomes more of a burden. And so I know lots of moms, I actually know lots of moms who choose to do formula because it's just emotionally easier for them. And of course they go through a mom guilt phase first, like, wow, is this really better for my kid? But regardless, we're all doing the best that we can. And like you said, and like I said, feeding them is what's important here.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're all here to support you. Nursing staff, the physicians, we're here to help you do what works best for you, whether it's right after delivery, whether it's in your postpartum visit, or even months later when you're ready to make that transition, or if you never had that transition at all, it's totally fine.
So at your clinic, what kind of services or, you know, advice do you give moms who are breastfeeding?
So we tend to talk about breastfeeding early on, so while they're still pregnant, during their prenatal care, and just to get a sense for sort of what they're thinking, what they have heard about in the past, what they've been reading, and to also get a gauge for what are their sort of expectations going into it. If somebody, you know, really wants to be exclusively breastfeeding all the time, I want to be able to give them that support and those options, you know, right off the bat. So talking about the health benefits, like some of the things we've talked about today, talking about how good it is for both baby, for mom, and sort of starting that conversation through prenatal care is important. You know, there have been a lot of changes in the last few years. Insurance companies pay for breast pumps, which is huge because that can also be a costly addition.
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars. So having that has also, I think, made huge strides in allowing women to go back to work, allowing women who want to exclusively breastfeed, but for whatever reason their anatomy doesn't allow it or the baby doesn't latch on properly, being able to use their pump to get the milk out and to be able to feed, or even just to pump a little bit to let your significant other, your husband, your boyfriend, whoever it is, say, here, take the bottle for a little bit and give me a break for a few minutes after they've been latched on for so long. So, you know, we talk about that in the beginning and try to get a good sense for what they're thinking, what questions, what concerns there are, and then we follow that through after delivery. We do skin to skin immediately following birth, and then lots of just trying to latch on, breastfeeding 45 minutes in the beginning, an hour in the beginning.
It's a little rough.
And that's where I say our nursing staff is really just exceptional, and they are just amazing because they have the patience to be with you, they have the knowledge, and they're really supporting you throughout your care.
Which is exactly what women need through this process.
Absolutely. We need our hands held.
We do, we do. Well, Dr. Tania Bodnar, thank you so much for joining us today. I love talking about this. I hope to have you back with more topics.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, we have a lot more coming up on the Mountain Morning Show. Stay tuned.